I'm going to demonstrate to you next the reason why there is a problem with tuning and a problem with the musical scale. I'm going to make some hideous noises for which I apologise. In order to hear what are known as the beats, I ask you to tolerate it. So, I'm going to start. Let's see what we've got here. I want 2, 5, 6. Okay, this one will do. I'm going to, that's around middle C, and I'm going to tune an E, which oscillator am I going to go to? 25. Now, can you hear those beating? That's because it's out of tune. I'm going to gradually increase that until there it becomes C sharp or D. So that's about F, isn't it? We've passed through E. Can anybody tell me when that's a pure third? Do you think we're there? Right, so I'm now going to go up another pure third. Okay, so we'll go up another third. Now, what I was listening for then is that you heard those beats getting faster and faster and faster, and eventually those beats get to be a note, and at some stage that note becomes exact. So that was what I was listening for there. Let's now see if these 3 thirds, because after all 3 major thirds, thirds make an octave, don't they? We all know that. Let's see if the first note and the last note match up. And I fear they're going to too much. There we are. That's our problem with the octave. It doesn't work. Those 3 major thirds don't make an octave. And as a result, we have to stretch our major third in order to make the octave. The mathematics of this has been known for 2,000 years, and it doesn't work, it doesn't match up. Now, I talked about that beat note. We're going to hear it next. out of tune, and this is why in the 1850s, when the modern tuning started to be used on organs, people said, it's horrible and the music has ceased to be sweet. And so we have been stuck with this unsweet tuning that produces these horrible notes. And as a French horn player and as brass players, we're used to these notes, these series of notes, because air pipes or strings have to vibrate in exact numbers of times, whether it be once. I have here a very special instrument, and this is very rare. It's a monochord, and it's with a monochord with measurements, gradations from 0 to 1,200, that theoreticians have examined the scale since the days of Pythagoras. And I'm going to demonstrate harmonics, so that there is one note, but within that one note, there's the octave above, because it's vibrating twice. Here, that's vibrating 3 times. 4, do you hear it up there? And then, so that's 4, and here, now, our notes of the scale should, if they're going to be harmonious and produce harmonious music, they should produce those notes exactly. And when they don't, it doesn't resonate. And the modern tuning puts the notes out of tune. And as a result, the modern music does not resonate. Now, string players, horn players, we all work together in quartets and whatever, and we're using perfect intervals. There's a note below that. So that is the number of times the pipe vibrating in different places. Now, as horn players, we have to adjust our semitone so that is the same as so you can hear there that one note isn't spot on as the keyboard. We can alter it by using a different pressure on our lips and by using different fingering combinations in order for our harmony to fit with all the other instruments. And so this is the importance of that tuning, and this is why orchestral music tends to sound more harmonious, but the piano and the organ have been lost. Musicians, we're going to come now to the effect of that, because if we change our scales so that some of the keys have those notes on the harmonics, then other of those keys will have quite a lot of notes quite far removed from the harmonics. This means that each key then has a different character. And in 1787, and that's particularly important because we're looking now specifically at the time of Mozart, Christian Schubart, who Dr. Charles Burney referred to as being the most amazing harpsichordist, wrote a list of the emotional effects that musical keys could be expected to create in anyone listening to music composed and performed in that key. And in your notes, I've actually given a list of Schubart's emotions and keys. The ideas are coloured, pun is intended, or rather clouded by confusion with the meaning of colour as applied to music. This is not a colour that you can see, although for many with synesthesia, musical tones do induce concepts of visible colour. but instead it's a reference to a spectrum of vibrations, just as you see a spectrum of colours in the rainbow in the sky. It was Isaac Newton himself who identified the octave and its steps of tones with the near octaves of the vibrations of visible light between red through the spectrum to violet, or more correctly from infrared to ultraviolet. Thus, the chromatic scale is nothing to do with merely the going up of scale, the scale in half steps. Chromatic. And I'm very pleased to see a lot of people with white hair here who have used cameras using film made by Kodak called Chrome. Colour. Where's the colour in our modern music? And so the chromatic scale is nothing to do with merely the going up of the scale in half steps. Read the Wikipedia entry on chromatic scales and you'll see that modern music totally misses the mark and misses the point. It's about the emotions and the vibrations of the music as we perceived it. Whilst perhaps in knowledge of our first steps at the keyboard, we might all agree C major to be completely pure. We'll agree with Schubert that its character is innocence, simplicity, naivety, children's talk. Going to the minor, C minor, we can persuade ourselves of a declaration of love and at the same time the lament of unhappy love. All languishing, longing, sighing of the lovesick soul. But then we start to see the key explanations become more exotic. D major, the key of triumph, of hallelujahs, of war cries, of victory rejoicing. Thus the inviting symphonies, the marches, holiday songs, and heaven rejoicing choruses are set in this key. Well, perhaps. Then E flat major, the key of love, of devotion, of intimate conversation with God. But is it really different from D major? Well, try it on a normal piano and I haven't heard the difference. After all, we can shift the keyboard of a transposing harpsichord and play D major upper note. Does it really sound different? Have you ever heard it really sound different? And it's this, of course, that means that when people whittle on about, oh, he did that in C minor, you know, he only composed sad things in C minor. You know, the man in the street just thinks, God, these are highbrow things. Well, this is just for the elite. They're not interested in music as a result. We have to bring music properly to our ears. Perhaps what follows might sound like the reading of a psychic, D sharp minor. We're going to play something in E flat minor later on. Feelings of the anxiety of the soul's deepest distress, of brooding despair, of blackest depression, of the most gloomy condition of the soul. Every fear, every hesitation of the shuddering heart breathes out the horrible D sharp minor. If ghosts could speak, their speech would approximate this key. Have we really ever heard such a thing? Reversing to F major, complacence and calm. Yes, of course, we'll read on, but what sound comes next sounds more like an astrological chart. F minor, deep depression, funereal lament, groans of misery and longing for the grave. Certainly, by the time we get to A flat major, the text looks increasing like a tarot card reading. Key of the grave, death, grave, putrefaction, judgment, eternity lie in its radius. Upon reaching B major, however, strongly we'd like to believe, strongly coloured, announcing wild passions composed from the most glaring colours, anger, rage, jealousy, fury, despair, and every burden of the heart lies in this sphere. Rationality demands pigeonholing Schubert into the realm of a highly stretched imagination. It's the incomprehensibility of such descriptions that cause many untrained in music to dismiss classical music to the realm of the elite, that you have to be educated to hear it, for it to mean anything, and for it to be dismissed merely as the realm of the highbrow. However, what we're about to hear when we restore the colour to the music of the tuning of instruments as used in music's time brings emotion that can be heard by all. You might not like it, it's curry. It's time to take the witness statement of the music itself and see what we might be able to hear it say. First, we're going to take a journey in a time machine to a different time and place.